So we'll be starting with the next topic of macros, which is lesson 4, data step and SQL interface. Now here you'll get introduced that how can one create macro variables while your data step is getting processed, and also we'll see how one can create macro variables in SQL, and of course we'll understand what is indirect referencing. So first and foremost, let's get introduced how to create a macro variable within your data step. So objective here is we'll create macro variables during data step execution, and we'll describe the difference between the Symputx routine and %let statement. Now, ideally, you people are aware how one can create a macro variable. So how we create macro variables? A quick revision. Yes.
%let.
Macro.
Absolutely correct. %let statement. Absolutely true. So with the help of your %let statement, we actually create a macro variable, right? So now look at this business scenario. So here the business scenario here is automate production of the report below with a footnote that indicates whether there are any internet orders. Now, if you look to this data, now this data is for orders being placed by customers only via internet. Now, type 1 of order means it's internet type. Type 2 is retail, and type 3 is catalog. Okay. So, sorry, it's telling internet orders have an order type value of 3. So, in case now, if you are creating a report, your report, if the data is processing and if order type comes 1, then only here the footnote automatically should be coming as internet orders or no internet orders. So order type 3 means it's internet orders. Okay. So in case if your data is not order type 3, so see your footnote is automatically changing to no internet orders. But in case your order type in your data is 3, then it should come internet orders. So that's what it's telling, automate production of the report below with footnote that indicates whether there are any internet orders, and they have given a note, make a note that internet order is the value 3 for your order type, where the value 3 indicates its internet order. All right. So as per our understanding and knowledge of macros till now, whatever we have learned, let's go and create a macro, a data step. We are creating a data and then we'll create a report on that data. So hence it's like we are preparing your data for report generation. So you are creating first 2 macros. One is month and year. And of course, this is for the specific month and year. Okay. So that is coming into title. So you're creating this because in case if the same data is used to generate a report for different month and different year, so you just need to do the 2 changes. Fine. Now creating a data order, so you are selecting the variables as per requirement from which data set? Orion.order fact. All right. So you have a data, your input sources Orion.order fact, hence it's written with a set statement. And if you have observed, along with your set statement, you have end equal to data set option. Now you know very well that this end equal to data set option, when you write in front of this input data set, here you can create a temporary variable where this variable value will have a Boolean expression when it is the last row of your data set been processed. So if order fact is suppose having 20 rows, so if the current processing of this order fact is 20th row, so this final value will be 1, else it will be 0. So it's an indicator we are creating to make a logical way of understanding that when it is the last observation of your data, it should process some statements. So you are creating that temporary variable with end equal to data set option. So the syntax you know very well, it's not put into parentheses. Now we are subsetting your data on this required month and year. So you are extracting from order date because you have a data called order date where its date order date column has the value of date. You're extracting year and the value for year is your macro variable. Same goes from order date, you are extracting month and that you are using the value from macro variable. So you're giving a statement of condition telling if order type is 3, that means if it is internet order, then you are creating an accumulating variable called number. Why? Because you are counting the number of internet type order also. Okay. If it's final, final means this variable, which is your temporary variable, which is an indicator of end of your file marker or a last row, which has been processed. So if final means if it is the last observation, that is the final value indirectly is 1. Sorry. So when if final value is equal to 1, indirectly means it's if final, then do you're seeing the value for number, which you will be looking into log, and you're writing if number is 0, that means if there are no internet orders, obviously your number will not get increment, hence number will be 0. Then do create a macro variable for food telling no internet orders, and else do create a macro variable food some internet orders. When this is false, that number is 0, that means internet order is there. Correct? And
Ashwini, can you explain from if final then do from there?
what is this? It's indicating that it is the last. I know what I hope you know what final is doing here. Correct? So you have created this temporary variable which has the value 0 or 1 if it is the last row being processed for this input data. Correct? So if it is the last row, then you know this final value will be 1. So that's what you're giving a condition if it is last, because until and unless if it is the last observation been read, then only you can create this foot as your macro variable. Why? Because it will be resulting in your output report footnote at the bottom only when your data is being processed. Correct? Hence you are creating this macro variable only when it is the last observation. Hence you're telling if final means it is indirectly as if final equal to 1. All fine?
Yeah.
Okay. Then do you're just trying to tell SAS to show the value of number in log. We know what put is doing. Correct? So you know what number is. You're calculating or you're actually counting the number of internet orders. All right. So that's why it's accumulating total. So you're writing this. And then you're telling if number is equal to 0, that means if the processing of your data currently is no internet orders, obviously there won't be increment in your variable number. Correct? Because this number will increment only when internet order is 3 from your input data. All right. Then you are writing then do to create a macro variable foots no internet orders. Else do foot is some internet orders. This end is for else do, whereas this end is for this then do. Oh, sorry, this then do, outer then do. Okay, so this ends here, and you are writing this block print. All right. So now, when you move next, you see in the year 2011 for the month 2, the order type is coming 1 in your data for this given period of year and month. But look at this report. The footnote is telling some internet order. Is this footnote changing as per your data, which has been selected in your report? Is this the correct footnote? Yes.
No, it doesn't have any internet order.
Correct. So internet order means when type is 3. Correct. Then it should ideally give no internet orders. But it's giving some internet orders. I hope you are understanding what is it.
Actually, what was the last line of that syntax? This one, percent let food is equal to some internet orders.
But this is coming if this is not equal to 0. Correct. So ideally your order type currently is subsetting to value as 1 in our report. So it should come no internet orders, but it's giving some internet orders. So I'll show you this demo in your data also. coping with this. I'll just close this windows. And for your macro, it's fourth lesson, demo 018. Okay. So this, if you want to check the value, you can write percent put ampersand equal to month, and you can write ampersand equal to. So let's run. So month and year is created. Now before moving, let me do the live. All right. So with this, we have created these two macro variables, right? Now this is your program where you are subsisting the data on year and month, and you are telling order type is 3. If order type is 3, then create a accumulating number variable named as number, which keeps on incrementing if order type is 3. This final, if you want to check the value for final, we can also make use of this. I simply write it as.
It means like if order type is equal to 3, then number plus 1 means is equal, it should be 4,
No,
right?
no.
In
No,
result,
no, 3
then
which is
This is not 4. It means this is the value in your data. Now, if you want to check this data,
जर 1 असेल, if it is 1, then it will
no,
not
no.
take.
No, it's like if currently the value for this is there in the observation.
correct.
Okay, so your number will be 1 for first time. Why? Because it's a assignment, it's your sum statement where initially it will be 0. So 0 plus 1. So if it is the first
1.
value, it will be 1. So in the next observation, if order type is 3, so what will be the count for this number is the second value of internet which it is found. So it currently it's 1. So 1 plus 1 is 2. So in case in the third row, if there is no internet order, then this is false. But in the fourth internet order, value is 3. That means it's internet order. So now your number is already 2, correct? So 2 plus 1 is 3.
3.
Getting it now?
Okay.
So it's just a count we are finding that how many internet orders you have. Understood?
Okay.
Okay. So where is this order fact data? So this is what it's telling. You have your order fact data where you have order type value.
Still confusing.
So it's first time if you observe it, you will get confused. But if you read it or you observe that code, you will get used to it. That what actually that code is telling. See, order type 1, 2, 2, 1, 1, 1, and then you have somewhere 3. See here it's 3.
3.
So 3 means this is internet type order. Okay. 2 means maybe it's a catalog type of order, and 1 is retail order. Okay. So 3 is internet, and we want the report of only internet type of orders. All right. So in case now if you want to see this value and you want to see this value for final also. Now what I do is I just process this data with input. I'm telling it should process only till obvious number 20. Why? Because if we see this order fact data, it is having 617 rows. So just to observe it, I'll process this data step to check how your log is showing you the values. So let me just put it. So why it's giving final 1? because it's showing you though it is reading till your observation value is 20, correct? So it is taking it, but as per this condition, it is reading till iteration number 6. Why? Because till iteration number 6, it is finding internet order type is 1. Okay, so let me tell you one more thing, that instead of showing here at the end, let me put it here. So see, so it's filtering your data on this criteria. So when it is reading the first observation, so this condition is false. Okay, so hence see your final value is 0. Why? Because you have created this temporary variable final where it is end equal to data set option, that in case if it is the last observation is processing, then final value will be 1. But currently for first row of observation it's 0. Hence if you check further, your number is 0. Why? Because the order type which it is selecting is 1. It is not 3. All right.
Yes.
Okay. Again, for next iteration cycle, again its order type is 1. Final is 0. Why? Because it's not last observation. And if you check this number, it is still 0. Why? Because it's not internet order, so it's not incremental, or we are not creating the counter. Same thing for yours. So if you check your input data also very carefully, see first observations. So if you check this observations till 20th row till here, only this row is 3. Rest all are no internet orders, correct? So moving here, again here there is no internet orders, no internet orders, no internet orders. So it's reading till your observation is going to be 20. But what is happening? Where it's reading 20, but it is also filtering on this criteria. So when this criteria is getting filtered, it's not at all finding the values which is internet order as 3. So it's telling that it's telling at enter at your iteration number 6 cycle with filtration, it's not finding any internet type 3, hence it's reading only 6 rows. So the output is also coming with only 6 observations, and it's terminating there where your internet order is no more 3. Okay, why? Because it was selecting only with this criteria. So it's not, when it filtered for this, it's not finding in any observations as order type as 3. So therefore it's not showing any
For
value.
20th observation, it should have taken.
No, if it is giving you the end, but what is happening here, it is looking for this value. So
Correct.
this has been processed. This has been processed while processing in your PDV. So in the processing of your PDV, it's reading this value. So it's not finding till whatever it's reading. So it's not able to find this filter. So therefore it's not finding the end of the value also. So therefore I'll not make it more confusing. So I'll stop here. I'm not using that OBS equal to 20. Let's work out with all the observations.
Yeah, I have the same question because we gave observation 20, then why it's taking only 6 observations?
It's like if your condition, right? So it's not at all going to process that row. One sec. Did we process something in your code to stop somewhere? Because here is your filter, right? Where? So it's so first filtering your data on year and month.
Yeah.
And then it is getting the rows into PDV to process. So it will, what it will do, where always works before your observation are brought into PDV. So it will first filter your data on this criteria. So wherever it finds that year is equal to 2011 and month is 2, only those rows it is processing.
Maybe 20th observation is not the year 2011
Absolutely.
or month.
So yes, so that is why if we check this current value for 20 year, see its order date is not coming in the year 2011 and month is 2. All right, because you had a filter criteria of where.
Okay.
All right, that is why. So now when we are processing with all the observations, okay, so it's now no more where I have set it OBS equal to in your set statement, but now look at your final, it's 1. Okay, so here also, where is the order type? Again, for this for a particular date, there is no internet order. So what I do is I try to change the value for month as suppose 3. Let's check in the 3rd month with the same year. Now it's reading 8, it's taking 8 rows where it has 1 internet order, 2 internet and 3. So how many internet orders now you have?
3.
3.
So let's check your log. So see, number is 3. See, and final is because it's the last observation with the filter for your date for the month 3 and the year 2011. See, month 3, 2011, and your number is 3. Okay, it is filtering. Hence, now if this has been read, so let's check what is your report with your foot number or your footnote. So before looking into your footnote, let's check your code. So it's telling print orders data, title orders from month till year. Footnote should take ampersand foot. So we had already created your footnote variables in your data step with percent statement telling if number is 0, then internet should be, their footnote should come the value as no internet orders. But if it is not 0, that means it should come some internet orders. So now when we run this, now we know in our data we have 3 internet orders, so it should give 3. But it's telling here, obviously it's getting 3 internet orders or with some internet orders as footnotes. All right, now we are getting title and footnotes at the left hand side because it's an alignment we have used as no center. But if I just remove this,
Oh, so
because
it will
of
come
no
in
center,
center.
yes,
Okay.
yes. And that PS is page size for your report. Now your report is coming to the left hand side and this is where it comes here. So it's coming because of this PS. So we won't have any of this PS page size.
But anyways, if you not give this option, it will automatically come at
Comes in
center.
the, yeah, it's like, it's just trying to tell you that these are some options where you can
Okay.
show the alignment of your reports.
Okay.
All right. Okay. So it's telling we have some internet orders. So this is true, correct? But when we were working where you have month as 2, and when you process this data with your report, it is still giving some internet orders. See, for the month 2, year is 2011. There is no internet order, but still your footnote is not changing.
Yeah.
It's telling some internet orders. So what we want is, we want this to be automatically updating your footnote depending on your internet hours. Correct? Here it should ideally come no internet
order.
but it's not taking. What must be happening in this code? So there is some logic.
Percent let foot if we give in the starting.
Okay. But even if you give in starting, it will be the constant value. It won't change as per your data value is changing. So you want a dynamic way of creating this macro where depending on your data values which is changing, this value should keep on changing.
Yeah.
So what is happening here? Now we know when we write percent let statement, it is going to first execute this statement to create a macro variable named foot. Right? So
yeah, we can
when
give
this
different name then, or no?
But then if you give different name, how
Yeah,
will
it will not work.
incorporate?
Correct.
Right.
Yes.
So what is happening, you know very well. So it's a percent let statement where you are creating, when it's reading at first time, foot is created in your global symbol table. Again, when it's coming to this statement, it's telling
Alright.
again the same named foot. So in global symbol table, you have same named variable. So it gets overchanged or
Overwriting.
overwritten.
Override.
So currently in your global symbol table, your foot is with the constant value. It's not changing. So how you are going to overcome this?
Because
Hence,
it's override.
Out,
yes.
they give out.
So hence, your percent-let statement is not going to be an effective way of creating a macro variable while your data is being processed. So in this case, now you'll get introduced where you'll get to see how one can create dynamically the macro variable depending on your data value, and that is where you'll get introduced to Symputx. So that's what it's telling. So when you're writing a data step interface, your word scanner begins, macro triggers are encountered, macro variables are created. Again, it's resolving in your data step, correct? So when it comes to this percent-let, your macro variable of foot is created with the value no internet order. Immediately there is another, so this footnote has been, or that percent-let statement is assigned. But immediately it encounters another percent-let with the same name macro variable it already has in a global symbol table. So it will just overwrite the earlier value. So now what you have in your data, in your global symbol table, the foot value, some internet order. So there is no effect of your data values which are changing on this stagnant value or fixed value. So nothing in data step affects your foot value. So the value of foot remains some internet order. So this is during compilation phase. You know very well, when you submit your data step, at the time of compilation, percent-let statement gets executed. So now during execution, when this has been processing and when the value for order type is not equal to 3, it's still going to have this fixed value, correct? Because we know percent-let statement is been executed at the time of compilation phase, right? So hence we overcome this with a statement which is a routine in your data step. It's called as call Symputx. So you use this Symputx as a routine statement within data step, which assigns or creates a macro variable, and the value for it is assigned during your data step is getting executed. That means at the time of execution phase. Percent-let has been created a macro variable during compilation, whereas call Symputx will create a macro variable during your data step is getting executed. That is executing type of statement. So it can create a macro variable by 3 ways. One is static value. Static value, you provide the value. Second, dynamically, the values keep on updating or changing while creating a macro variable depending on your data values. And dynamically, again, data depending on the name of the variable which will be using. So there are various ways of creating a macro variable with Symputx. The value for your macro variable can come either during your data step variables have been created, or with certain expressions, or with certain character literals, which can be constant values. So how it is? So this is your first example where you are providing the value as a character literal. So you're telling call Symputx, create a macro variable. You give the variable as the syntax telling macro variable name, comma, value. So its name you put it into quotes, comma, its value into quotes. So that is this example, character literals. Okay, so you're passing the values as character literal. So this macro variable is the fixed variable name, but this value will be flexible while changing your data. Okay, so there is no macro trigger. Hence, this call Symputx will not create a macro variable during compilation phase, but it will create during execution phase. All right. So it's a routine which is performed in data step, and it is always used with a call statement. Call means while it is processing in your data step. So it's a routine during your data is being processed. Therefore, it's called as a routine. and it's always called along with a call keyword. All right. So this is how your scenario is. See now, order type is 1, no internet order. Okay, so I'll just show you this also. So instead of this now, I change this to an executable statement where this executable statement will create a macro variable during my data step has been processed with a routine called call Symputx. So there is Symput and Symputx. So both does the same thing, but Symputx is the most recent version development where it will create a macro variable as well as assign the value. So it's the most recent developed syntax. So in your parenthesis, as per this syntax, give the macro variable name in quotes, comma, assign the value as a character literal. So it's a constant character literal. So you put it as this way.
Oh, so you mean
So
to say
here,
with this statement, Symputx, we are creating a foot macro variable and at the same time we are calling also, right? You mean to
Absolutely
say?
correct. Absolutely correct.
so
So
there we
Oh,
are
while
not giving percent sign.
yeah, instead
you're
of
not using
person.
percent let. Why? Because percent let is compile time statement. Therefore, if you have understood this process, so this is what it was telling. So compiling begins when your data step has been processed. So
Mm,
during compilation, percent let statements will first create macro variables. So
correct.
you know while data step is also getting compiled, percent let statement will create macro variable. So within your data step, first percent let foot is creating into calls input text with the value. Another percent let existing foot is already there, it will overwrite the value. Hence, now when compilation is over, your global symbol table has currently 3 macro variables from this data step, which is
Mm,
month, year, and
year
foot
and
with
foot.
some internet value order, which is a
Correct.
static value. So
Mm,
now when compilation is done and execution is performed, the value is still there. So though even if it is order type 1, your footnote will still come with the value as some internet order. So it's not changing dynamically. So for
mhm.
this we use call Symputx routine, which is assigning a macro variable any value to your data step during execution. So when you are giving this expression that you are creating a macro variable food, it will create this value at, at the time of your execution phase. Now, if I run this data for the month 2, okay, where I'm giving this expression, you select the data only for internet order if it is 3. Correct? That means your
Mm,
internet order. Now look at your footnote. What is coming?
no internet order.
So is this matching your current report?
Yeah.
Correct? Now what happens actually is when during compilation, now during a compilation, this is all done, correct?
Mhm.
So while compilation, this all is been done. So it will first filter your data on this criteria of month and year. So of course, this will be at the time of execution phase, but during compilation, any new variable to be created? No, because there is no percent now, percent left. It's called Symputx, which gets processed during data step execution. Now during execution, it will check for this year and month, is the current order type equal to 3? So if you check your current data, so where it is having the date filter, so its date is month 2, year 2011. So this is false. So wherever it's 2011 now, so whenever it comes, okay, so it will filter that and it will check if while processing in PDV, if the current value is order type is equal to 3. So it's false, correct? So as per this, is order type equal to 3? It's false. Because it's false, it will not create number as new variable. And though it is number is equal to 0, currently this has been processed to create foot with no internet order. So because this was true, it will not go with this del else del then do or else do. Why? Because this condition currently is foot or order type equal to 1, which is false. Therefore, it will directly come here telling number is 0. Hence, call Symputx, create a macro variable food with no internet error. Now, when its order type equal to 3, when it is true, then it will create this macro variable. So this condition is false. So it will skip this and it will directly read this during execution. Hence, now during execution, it will create footnote and take the value of foot as some internet orders. Hence, so now when I change this value to 3 for the month, we know in the month of 3, we get some internet orders. So when I execute this data step and I check my output, there is order type 3, your second, your third. So it's some internet order. Got it? Why? Because this has been processed during execution. So currently order type 3 is true, hence it will create number. Okay? Because it's creating number, this condition is false till here. Why? Because you have written if this is true, then do till here. So this is false. So if this is false, that means it should execute this false Symputx. And that is why your proc print is coming with your report with some internet orders. Getting it now? So this is how your data is, or while processing your data step, your macro variable is created with dynamic value as per your requirement.
Yeah. So we are only creating this macro variable, or we are calling to?
Yes, you are creating and you are calling immediately.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. Fine. Meena?
Yes.
Okay. So there are 3 ways of creating this macro variables. You can call and you can create and call immediately. So one is with your data step variable. So whatever the macro variable you are been creating, the value you can give it from a data step variable. Else you can give with character literal, or you can provide through an expression. So currently we saw one step or one example with character literal. All right. So that's what is telling static value or dynamic values depending on your data bin processing. Dynamic with the name of the variable. So that means you can create from your data step variables. So how that will see the syntax. So currently this is what it's doing.
So this is character literal, you're
absolutely
saying?
yes,
Okay.
because you're giving constant character value, right?
Yeah.
So you're putting into quotes.
Yes.
So your calls input text routine in data step statement assigns the text value to your macro variable. So it's a text value, correct? So there is no macro trigger. Hence, there is no way where it will create during compilation and call it while execution. So it's no way like this. So while execution only, it will create and call. Right?
Okay. Can we see those 2 examples also? Data.
Yeah, it's there in upcoming slides. It's there. Okay. So now your footnote is correct because in this year and month 2, year 2011, there is no internet order. Hence, the footnote is no internet order. And thus you have the same example. Now answer this question. What is the value of foot after execution of your data step? So you are writing a null data step. You are using calls input text to create a macro variable foot with a value. And you are writing %let statement to create foot with the same value. So at the end of your data step, what will the value of foot?
I think no internet order.
Okay. Yes. So yes. Why? Because when word scanning begins, we know %let statement is the compile time statement. It will create a macro variable in your symbol table with some internet orders. But when data step is execution, the calls input text will be processed. It will check in your global symbol table, foot is there. So it will take this value as no internet order, right?
Yeah.
That's what. Word scanning begins, data step compilation begins, %let encountered, macro trigger executes, step boundary, that is end of your data step. Then data step starts execution and called Symputx gets processed. Now, this is a business scenario. Now look at it, the report carefully. Look at the report carefully and understand the business scenario. So it's self-explanatory, and you only tell me what is required. Look into your.
How many internet orders we have?
Yes. So it's telling that your report is coming up with the footnote telling the count of internet orders. Correct? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you have that you are getting the footnote telling there are internet orders. It's not some, but you are getting count, which is 5. So your macro variable which you are creating for footnote or foot is going to take the value for count of your number of variable values for internet. So this value is coming from your data step variable, which is your number. Remember? So see, your number is getting increment if you remember. So no need of writing order type for other statements. Simply write if order type is 3, then number get incremented. If it is final, then call Symputx to create a macro variable num where the value is coming from your data step variable number. And in proc print, you simply write footnote in quotes ampersand num internet orders. Understood? Ampersand num internet orders. That means whenever there is order type 3, your variable number will be created. It will keep on incrementing, and you are creating a macro variable num with called Symputx, and the value for num is coming from your data step variable. So we know this is a variable been created with an sum statement, and you're writing in footnote ampersand num internet orders. Understood? Yes.
Just a second, I have a question. Yeah, if final, then call
Will be on the, maybe we are writing call will be on the next line, right? If final, then calls into it is like that.
It's not, it is not a conditional, or you're giving assignment statement and expression. You are just simply telling the SAS that if it is last observation, then call Symputx. Final is this, right? End of the file marker. So if it is the last observation, depending on this criteria, then create a macro variable with called Symputx routine, which is num, coming from a macro data step variable number.
I think we can write in same line also. Before say, yeah, before
which line you are telling me?
No, I was just telling if final, then normally we'll start the statement from call, no? Call Symputx.
No. It's not necessary.
Before example, if you see, it was
there you are doing it because you are writing it then do groups. It is then do groups. Because it's a group of on single condition, you was writing multiple expression. Therefore, you are writing then do grouping. Okay, but here it's not then do. You can also make use of this type of statement. So it's either it's a statement, but you can use it in this form. You are absolutely correct, because we are calling it as statement, calls routine, right? So it depends how you are using it, but it is can be used this way also. So here again, it's telling when you're creating a macro variable, it's telling maximum character values could be 32,767. It's telling the value for your macro variable, okay? The values for numeric variables are converted automatically to character. Why? Because we know it's a macro variable created, and macro language is a text processing facility. Though here number is going to be numeric variable, but of course it's going to be saved as text. So it will convert automatically to character with best dot format with the width up to 32 characters. Leading trailing blanks are removed. Same rules of macro variables while creating as you have with %let statement. Okay, and thus the same example. So let me come up with the same thing on our It's D0C. So we have this code, lesson 4D.
Zero one
C. 01C. All right. So see, same thing. So again, if you want to check the values, you write.
Yeah, here I wanted to see if it is in blue, then call. This is in blue, so yeah.
It's in blue. Yeah. So here they have taken month as 1 with the same year 2011. So 14 days is coming for the 1 month year 2011. So see, final value is 1. So number is 5. If you check your result with code where you have document, you get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 internet hours. Right? So in case if we write involves macro variable month is resolving to 1, year is 2011, and macro variable num is resolving to 5 in your footnote ampersand num. So in case now if you want to check the person code underscore user underscore. Let's check. Num will have the same value. So your and your num and your num. So it is into global symbol table, but the value is dynamic because it will keep on changing as per your data. Now, if I move here with, we know in month 2 for the same year, we do not have any internet orders, right? So let's work out and check how your data is processed.
0 maybe.
Yeah, let's check. See, why? Because this condition is false. So we know this is assignment statement. It will create a variable. It will initialize at initial stage to 0 in PDB and it will retain the value. Hence, the condition for this current month and year, we don't have any internet orders. Hence, number is still going to be 0 because initial value is going to be by default going to take as 0 because it's a sum statement. Correct? Hence, current your number is 0. So when you check your log, you do not use person to hear this. So at attrition 6, final 0, and check your number 0. You see everywhere it's 0. So dynamically, if you check your user-defined macro variables also, here you'll see num is 0, month is 2 now. Hence, your result is coming with no internet errors or 0 internet errors. Right? So this was your second example where you are creating a macro variable from your data step variable. Now the third example, which is the third example that you can create a macro variable during processing your data step through expression. Okay, so now look at this business scenario. See at the highlighted part and see your footnote.
So here last internet order date.
Yes.
Average means maybe we have given mean or something.
Yes.
Mathematical operation.
Average internet order for that, yeah. And last internet order. So they're asking like what is the last date of
Last
order,
date.
right?
Correct. So as per this month and year, there are 5 internet orders that we know in our previous example. But
Correct.
what in your footnote, it should tell that wherever there is internet order, only that retail price average is coming. And last internet order when it was placed, that date is coming into your report, where it is into your footnote. So further enhance your footnotes by adding average internet order amount and last internet order placed from your data, which is this, because there is internet order 3 order type, it's placed on this date, so that you have in your footnote.
Yeah.
Okay, so now this is required. So for this, come to this demo 10T. So how are you doing? See, you're of course filtering on your date and month. Okay, year and month. So you're telling if footnote is 3, on this condition, you have multiple statements. Therefore, you're using then do. Of course, you are creating increment variable number. Of course, amount. Why? Because you know we want only for internet orders, wherever internet orders is placed, your amount should keep on incrementing with total retail price, correct? And of course, you're creating another variable, simple date, where the value is coming as order date. And you're retaining this date variable, end. All right. So if it is last observation, then do. If number is 0, then do. So only when number is 0, that means order type is not equal to 3, then it should create macro variable called DAT, where it is NA, and a macro variable average, which is also NA. But if this is false, that means when it is type equal to 3, it should create DAT and average. So what DAT will be creating? A date. So it's an expression where you are using put function to convert your date, which is your numeric variable, to character, where it will apply this format. And amount you are dividing with number, and you are applying your $sign. Correct? Right? Agreed? So this is an expression.
So here the number amount divided by number. So that number, the from the first one we have created, that it will take the number plus 1.
Yes, because this will be working only when this is true. Why? Because this is when it is not internet orders. So this is 0. Number is 0. When number is 0, when there is no internet order. So this will not work if there are internet order. It will directly work with this amount and obviously this number, which is this.
Okay, but they are asking for average, right?
So average means total of all internet amount, which is your amount, which is divided by number
total
of times your order of internet type is coming. So if it is 5, so that 5. So if the amount is suppose 500 divided by 5.
Okay.
Correct? Right? So this is, and let's check your prop print. So title, orders from this month and year. Footnote 1, average internet order, ampersand average. Footnote 2 is last internet order is the text, and the value will be coming from ampersand that, either this or this, depending on which month and year your internet order is coming. Now in first month we know it's coming, but let's check for month 2. Why? Because in month 2 we know for the same month and year we don't have any internet orders. So let's check how your report comes. So it should come with NA in your footnote for last internet order date and your average. Now this is working because we ran this without any. What I do is, options.
we don't give the options, then also it will come in the center.
Yeah, but I have run the whole report, right? Therefore, it came along with that option with profit. Fine. So see, it's any, because there is no internet order. So when this NA is coming, because currently your number is 0. Now I change this to 1 because we know in first month and the same year internet order we have. The data step got executed. Let me put log because I did not give that person put log. So I use put log. Cursor has become more sensitive. Concept. So we have internet orders, we have average, and the last internet order was placed on 28 Jan 2011. That's what we are creating the format as MMDDYY. Why? Because in your code, you have applied a format with a put function. So this is an expression through which you are creating a macro variable. Expression through which you are creating a macro variable. And this is a constant text value as a character literal. You are giving a macro variable. Fine.
I have one question here. So
Yeah.
in that call Symputx average after put, can we give mean instead of amount divided by number? Can we give mean function there?
Mean function. Okay, let's work out.
Because mean is also an average, no? So it will automatically.
On your amount, only amount. So it will calculate minimum amount, and with put it will convert from numeric to character by applying this format. All right, so let's check. Okay, let's work out with your. Let's check the value. This is equal to AVG and this is equal to
That
DAT. So it's telling this.
Yes,
What
it's
average is
taking.
doing? It's doing average for all the values.
okay, not taking the three.
Not only for
internet.
order type 3.
Okay.
So it's taking average for all the values.
Amount column, full amount.
Correct, correct. All right, so that's what we are getting. So, of course, it's calculating mean, but it's not for a specific value.
Okay.
So let's amount divided by number. Check a log. So you get average, that out. And now let's run with your profit. All right. Got it?
Yes.
Okay. So this was dynamically creating a macro variables in data set with call Symputx routine. Now complete this statement. It's telling this call Symputx statement creates a macro variable named date. Complete the call to assign the value of the variable current, formatting the result as a date such as 21 November 2012. So how will do this? The value is coming from a variable current, but you want the application of this format, or the format of the date should appear in this format, 21 November 2012. So which type of format is this?
Date 9.
Yes, you are correct.
Today we can give for current.
No, it's date 9 format. Yes. So you can write put in bracket current, comma, date 9 dot.
9. Okay.
See, put, because put we know current is your numeric column. When we apply a put function, it will convert into character because it will show with this value date 9. So it becomes a character type of value.
So what I
Right?
thought that current is like current date we have to do. Date 9 is a
No,
format
no, no.
and
It's
current date
telling
we have to give.
it's variable current.
Today. That's why I used today.
Yes. Yeah. I understand. And thus an exercise. Okay, now we'll go to this business scenario later, but I would expect you that you please work on this demonstrations.
Okay. Ashwini, we are putting there put, right? Put in bracket. So it's like how we with this statement, right? Symputx, how we are calling and creating macro variable, right? So why we are using put here?
It's because this is going to be your numeric variables.
Yeah.
Right? So with put, what happens? You are applying this format. So put is a function where you are actually converting numeric to character by applying a format.
Numeric to character. Okay.
Right? And when character to numeric is converted, we use input function.
Yeah.
Right?
That
But
we
here
learn.
it's, yeah, so from numeric to character with this format. So this value becomes obviously character.
Yeah,
Hence,
actually I
your
forget that
macro,
put an input. That's why.
so hence your macro variable has getting the values which are character strings.
Okay, got it.
Got it? So you can work out with demo 401A. Then you can try B, C, and D. So it's demo 1A, 1B, 1C, 1D.
Table, but table at right side. So which option I have to put for table also?
Right. No, just write option center.
Oh, okay. Okay, I will
Options,
try.
center.
Yeah, I did the
And
same.
resubmit.
PS is equal to 20. So I did the same.
No, and resubmit. along with this.
Okay.
Got it?
Yes.
Oh, good. This demos at this business. This is pretty complex. So now in this scenario,
Your voice is too low.
okay, now
Yeah, now it's.
so it's telling, look at this report carefully. It's a report for your prog plot, okay, where you're getting bar charts and you're getting a what we call this as logo or side explanation for your graph, which is telling orders. This period is for order period. There are how many? 148 orders, and overall average is $157. So it's telling based on user selected time periods, dynamically compute statistics for automatic inclusion within the graph below. So it's a legend. Okay, so it's a legend which is showing in your graph that what is the period. That means how many orders have been placed in that given period of time and overall average. So again, the same thing, it's a way of dynamic creating a macro variable. Now we are creating these two macro variables first in data step with underscore null underscore. Why? Because we are directly using prog gplot. But we know it's a procedure prog gplot where we are using this, but we are creating in null data step these two macro variables, order and average. And from where is this stat data coming? It's telling set from stat because this statistics of count and average we are going to create by using procmins. And procmins, you can process your data with oren.order underscore fact data. You're not creating an output report where you're subsetting your data on the start and stop date. Your analysis variable is total retail price. And the report of proc means you are not showing into result window, but you are directing to your output data set, output out equal to stats as a data set name. And where we get n, which is a default statistics, which is the number of non-missing variable values. It's your renaming for this data set to be created as count and mean your renaming as average. So how this comes is I'll show you this data with procmins. So I'm going to write a procmins which is directing a data not as a result, but we can create as a output data set. So it's procmins data equal to Orion dot order underscore fact. So normally we do it like this, right? Where you are using total spell to be checked. It's total price, correct? And we ideally run this. So normally when we are processing this proc means, you'll be getting a means report on your analysis variable total retail price. So you know what n is. N is a default statistics which gives you the count of non-missing values, its mean, its standard deviation, its minimum, and its maximum. So these are its default statistics. Now I can write a statement called output out equal to, and I create a data set called stats. So one can always save your proc means data result as a data set as well. where you give this statement output out equal to stats. So if you run this step now, it will create your report as well, and it will create your data set also named as stats. So this is how one can always save the result of your proc means as a data set. So it's giving the result and it's giving you the data set as well. So see, it's data set. So when you check your log, so it's telling you that with proc means, it's reading this data set and it's creating a data set with 5 observation 4 variables. Proc means used. So you are getting a result where you have mean, n, mean, standard deviation, minimum, maximum. And in your output, you are getting column as underscore type underscore. Now this underscore type underscore is a default column. When if you use a class statement, it gives you that type. Frequency means number of observations. So this is your statistics. See, mean. Now your columns of result is showing you its rows. So mean, minimum, max, standard deviation, and this is total price. Now we want only mean for your output result, and we want this average. So what we can do is, I'm creating a data set where I'm asking SAS that this n, I'm giving that n should be suppose as count. I'm renaming these columns, and my mean I'm renaming to average. So I'm selecting only these 2 columns for this output data set and I'm renaming it. So this is what an output result. Of course, it's still going to give me the result because I'm not suppressing the output result. I'm creating a data set where I'm getting count and I'm getting average. So this is default statistics underscore frequency and underscore type. So this comes when we are using class statement. So class, if we are categorizing it, so this type would have come. So see, your n is renamed to this count and your mean is renamed to average. Now I'm creating a data, but I don't want my printed output into result. So I give this option called as no print. All right. See, it's highlighted blue. So now when I execute it, so my prop means result will not be shown into a result window, but it's telling a data set is created. Now this option is wrong because it should not come along with /. It's just in prop means you're writing no print. I'm executing it. So see, I'm getting a data set, but there is no result. So when I check my log is telling proc means was been processed. Directly a data set is created with 1 observation, 4 variables. So what are those 4 variables? Underscore type, underscore frequency, count, and average. So this is where one can create a data set.
Okay. What if you want to remove underscore default variables? Is there
So
an
here
option?
you can write drop equal to also.
Okay.
So it's a data set, right?
Underscore type.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this data set you're using in your program to create macro variables, where it will create with call Symputx macro variables orders, where the values is coming from count. Now count is a data set variable and average value AVG is coming from data set variable. And you're using in proc sgplot, where you're subsetting your data. V bar, we know it's creating vertical bar chart for order type. Now response means it's analysis variable on which this height of the bar is counted. It's counted on total retail price. Okay. So this is what it's telling response. Stat is equal to the height should be mean and not some values. You're grouping your data on order type. So you simply write group equal to, no need of pre-grouping your data or sorting your data. It will do it by year. Okay, and the column color should be glossy. So this is the option you are writing. Data skin is gloss. If you are telling reference line should be from your ampersand average, whereas your axis is for y-axis. So if you see this reference line, okay, it's coming for your ampersand average. So these are some of the statements which comes with proc graph. So even if you read, you will understand that this insert is for your legend. So this legend. So in this legend, you are writing orders. This period is equal to orders. Overall average, you are given this. And the border for your and the color for your legend. So this is what it's coming. Okay. So it's very self-understanding. Even if you go on and read this and try it yourself, you'll understand. So it's format, you're labeling your total retail price, you're applying a title, and you're telling x-axis type should be discrete. Discrete means this, it's not going to be continuous value. So you're telling it's discrete, that it means it should give your distinct values of order type as 1, 2, and 3, not as continuous value as 1, 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, 1.5 till 2, and so on. So your axis values are going to be type is discrete. Y values is from 0 to 320 by 40. So this Y value or Y axis, this range you are telling from 0 to 320, and the range is dividing the values as 40 values. Okay. So scaling you are doing it by 40. So that is all about, and thus you get this output. That's it. So what they're trying to tell you, based on user selected time periods, you can dynamically compute statistics for automatic inclusion within your graphics. So you can use in your graphic reports also, where you can include your macro variables, where you can dynamically change the values within your legends for graphical presentation. That's it. Nothing much more. So it's passing values between steps, and you have exercise. So I'll ask you to just work once, have hands-on on this demo. Exercise, you can take it as self-study, and then you can stop. So just open this demo, D02. So when you submit your data step here, it's giving you a note. Why? Because we know a data step ideally is a step when it creates a data set, but you're giving a keyword underscore null
Null
underscore
underscore. Right.
because here you are not at all creating or directing to create any data set. So it's telling simply from input data, we know this set has stat has only one
Stats.
row. Correct? It
Yeah,
has only
correct.
one row. So it is reading only one row from under input data set. And you're creating macro variables. But there is no output for your data set because call Symputx works only within data step. And we want to create a macro variable through call Symputx, but we are not creating any data set. Hence, we are using this underscore null underscore data set. That's it.
Okay.
All right. 1 sec. Internet issue.
Oh,
Got disconnected from your studio.
I think we have to go over all that SG plot syntax.
Yeah. So
Only
just,
then we will get an idea like
yeah.
how
Fine.
it's
But
working.
this you have understood, right? Proc means data underscore null underscore.
Yeah, that one we got it. Yeah,
Fine.
the
And
first
here
part
there are
is,
some, here they are simply implementing this macro.
yeah, that
You
is
can just
simple.
go through it. Yeah. Then we can discuss it. No problem.
Sure.
And you'll be
Okay.
able to follow it also with proc what is happening.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So with this, we'll stop our day and we'll resume our next class, which is on Wednesday.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. So thanks for attending. Bye and have a good day. Take care.
Yeah, you too. Thank you. Bye, Ashwini.